does take the patience that I mentioned, and it's just working your way around. It's not quite obvious at first glance, then to take a step back, look at it again, approach it from whatever angle works for you. We've obviously got the switches here, we've got circuit boards. We just do not want anything to get in the way. Perhaps if we just push that up a little bit that way, and let's find which area is actually needing to be dealt with at this side. So somewhere along here it's pretty obvious. I just need to get that. The switches are very, very delicate, so please be careful when it comes to pulling the switches apart. I think we're still a little bit stuck in this corner, and we just need to keep working at it until we get some degree of movement. Okay, let's perhaps just have a look at the bottom. So when I did this the first time, I remember this was a little more awkward because basically it splits around a number of different angles and takes a little bit of time. Again, there's nothing else holding the two halves of the phone together at this stage. It is literally just the split. And oh, one thing to mention here is the braid. This braid obviously connects here to the edge of the screw, and that's obviously important on both sides. When it comes to replacing the screws, we're going to need to ensure that that braid is still properly in place. So again, I'm just going underneath, looking at how to move the various components apart. Very, very delicate indeed. So as I say, just there we go. And as you can see there, I did nothing other than just keep at it and keep looking at it and keep just applying gentle pressure with a little bit of persuasion in amongst the different tabs that sit along this edge. So now we have the bottom part of the phone in place and coming apart very nicely. We don't want really to get much more access than we need, and in fact at this stage we can start to see where the actual SD card holder is. So all we now need is to get a bit more clearance at the top of the phone. Switch, and again I'm just looking at easing it up. We're okay. I think we're still somewhat held in this corner, so I have to find what's just holding that back a little. This stage, there's a little bit of purchase there. Ease the screwdriver in, and very, very gradually, very gently, we're getting some degree of movement. That's it. Again, as you can see, just gentle manipulation, and it starts to come to us the way we want. Okay, so I think we're starting to get to where we want to now. Essentially what we have is access at this stage to the, that's it now. Looking down there, you've got a piece of antennae braid. If you can see down the inside of the phone, we obviously don't want to pull that apart. But at this stage now, we have access here to our SD card. When you come across this the first time yourself, you will see a piece of, let me just pull it over, there will be a piece of yellow tape like that, just holding the card in place. So at this stage, I'm just putting that back on there to show you. Please be very careful with these two halves. Do not pull them apart in any way, as that certainly would be something that we don't want to see. So let's get into the actual card we're going to replace. Actually, first of all, we can just use the lip. When I first pulled this card out, it was very, very stiff, and you know, you're somewhat concerned that perhaps it's actually kept in there quite strongly. In fact, the card that came out was this card, this SanDisk. That was the original card that came with the phone, and I think if you can see in the back, there's obviously been some form of adhesive maybe applied to that just to keep it firmly in place. That's the 16 gig card that I updated it with, and ran very nicely. Just a class 2. It's actually a Duracell brand, so I'm not even sure where I got it. It was just lying around at the time. So those were the two cards. What we're now going to do is get into our new Kingston card. Get that, take that apart and take it straight from the packaging and get cracking with putting that in place. So here we have it, Kingston 32 gig class 4 card. I think there's a lot now being started to be understood about exactly how Windows Phone 7 handles its memory, and that's something that is interesting in itself. I think for now, what we're looking at, I don't really want to show you much more than that angle, but there's the entire card slot. What I'm doing is just being careful not to touch anything important and offering the card into the slot. I think it's important to get that properly slotted, and if you can see here, you can see, if I just point it out down here, you'll see the little spring which actually holds it in place. It's not sprung like a normal SD card slot, it certainly goes in at a solid final angle. I think what we'll do now, because I don't intend to go back in here, is this time I can apply the piece of tape back here just to keep it as close as possible, and that is it in terms of replacing the card. What I want to do is just check that my braid is still in place in here. We've got some connectors that we need to make sure that actually fit through, so if you bear with me, I'm just going to double check. Yes, that's all in good shape. So putting it back together again, really in essence is exactly the same procedure. It is, however, I would say a little more easy. And just line it up and apply a tiny bit of pressure, as we can see, not very much at all that is needed, and very, very easily we are able to see it going back. Now, having warned you to make sure that the braid was kept up, I forgot to have a look at that. So on this side, it's there, you can see, and this side we've managed to put the phone back without capturing the braid. So I just need to use the tweezers. It's going to be a little bit fiddly, but just make sure that that's come up, and again just go around the device, making sure that it's all clipped back together again. With just a general look to see that everything looks as it should do, and I think we can just move that over there for now. Okay, so we have, if you remember, a tiny little screw, and if we're all lined up, that hopefully should just slot straight back into place. So if I find the little star screwdriver that I was using, I think it was this one. Let's see if we can. No, it doesn't look like that. Screwdriver I used. Very fiddly, just because it's so darn small. Okay, this is the one that we wanted. Let's get that offered up. And a gentle but firm screw to put it back in position. So that now represents the first part. We want to make sure that that's all going to be fine, and it's all nicely pushed down there. Now we've got our braid coming through on both sides. Yes, very nice. Okay, take away any bits of dirt. Shame about that, but there you go. You won't do that because you've had the chance to see. Okay, back to the case now. Fairly straightforward, except for the making sure that our little USB connector is firmly attached to its PCB. So the first thing is to remove the tape that covers that,